the CDBG project for improvements to the Blue Ridge School water and wastewater system. I'll recognize at this time Mike Poston, our county planner, to provide us with some factual information here for the meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As some of you may be aware, CDBG is money that comes from the federal government, passed through the states, and that local municipalities can apply for through funding cycles to do certain types of improvements. Under our current grant, we are replacing the water and now wastewater systems for Blue Ridge School. The previous application that we submitted was to complete the water system, a new water system at the school. The county has been working with the state Department of Environmental Quality, and they have identified some additional funds that would also allow us to replace the wastewater system. The additional funds come through 2 other grant years where they had some money available to use for this. However, we are still obligated to submit all the same material for the other 2 grant cycles, which requires this public hearing. So I'm going to read through these statements and explain the project and what is the scope on each project. And I'll do that as quickly as I can, although I will be reading this into the record to meet the CDBG guidelines. This public hearing on January 5th, 2021 will provide an explanation and description of the fiscal year 2011 and fiscal year 2013 North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality Community Development Block Infrastructure Grant. We are present to discuss the purpose of the public hearing for the county CDBGI funding application. The purpose of the public hearing is to obtain citizens' views and allow response from the public to funding proposals and answer any questions posed by citizens. This public hearing will cover the county's community development needs, development of proposed activities, and a review of program compliance before the submission of the county's CDBGI funding application to the state of North Carolina. The county proposes to request funding from NCDEQ's CDBGI program for Blue Ridge School water and wastewater systems. The proposed project will meet the following community and housing needs of the county by providing a new water and wastewater system at Blue Ridge School, a K-12 school that serves the community and those that live in southern Jackson County. The purpose of the CDBGI grant program is to improve quality of life for low to moderate income people by providing a safe, clean environment and clean drinking water through water and sewer infrastructure improvements and extension of services. To benefit a residential area where at least 51% of the beneficiaries are low to moderate income as defined by the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development. To perform eligible activities to minimize displacement and provide displacement assistance as necessary. For the fiscal year 2011, the CDBGI funding available is expected to be $94,942. For fiscal year 2013, the CDBGI funding available is expected to be $193,765. The maximum grant is $2 million over a three-year period. Applications for funding will be received by January 31st, 2021. The CDBG program is able to fund a wide variety of community development activities. The state of North Carolina has chosen to fund several activities: water and waste and sewer infrastructure, neighborhood revitalization, COVID-19 related projects, and economic development projects that lead to job creation and or retention. The infrastructure program or CDBGI program can fund a range of water and sewer infrastructure activities, including but not limited to the following: water projects, projects that resolve water loss and distribution systems, projects that extend public water to areas with contaminated wells, projects that extend water lines into areas with dry wells, projects that assist the low water pressure in public water systems, projects that regionalize 2 or more water systems, projects that rehabilitate or replace a water treatment plant. For wastewater, projects that resolve inflow and infiltration to collection systems and surcharge from pump stations and manholes, projects that extend public sewer to areas with failed septic tanks, projects that rehabilitate a wastewater treatment plant to allow for greater efficiency compliance with regulations. The county is seeking an amount of CDBGI's funds not to exceed $94,942 for fiscal year 2011, $193,765 for fiscal year 2013, together with the original $1 million from fiscal 2018 for a total project budget of $1,288,707 for the Blue Ridge Water and Wastewater Project, School Water System Project. The purpose of the county's request is to replace an aging water and wastewater infrastructure at Blue Ridge School. The water and wastewater systems were installed over 40 years ago and have exceeded their lifespans. The project scope has been divided between funds for fiscal year 2011, fiscal year 2013, and our original grant, 09D2945. The tasks for each fiscal years I'll highlight here. And for the 2011 funding, we have water-related expenses that include demolition of the elevated tank, final gravel drive and walkway surfaces, and concrete stoops. For the funding for fiscal year 2013, we have wastewater-related expenses that include demolition of the sewer plant, plant fencing, grease trap, generator and slab, finished gravel surfaces, and the portable building. For water-related expenses that include water system generators and slab, the tie-in fittings and valves, fencing for the water system. The updated scope for our original grant, 09D2945, includes wastewater-related expenses of the packaged sewer plant, grading, the electrical for the sewer plant, primary trash tank, the manhole covers, the 2-inch and 4-inch sewer line, stone and fabric drain, all the valves and fittings, and the seeding and erosion control measures. The water-related expenses will include mobilization, erosion control, site grading and access road development, the building, 3,000-gallon tanks and bladder tanks, slabs and footings, piping and pumps, and the electrical for the water system. The project proposed by the county was identified in the school board's 5-year capital improvement plan in 2017. Informal community meetings were held in the project area to inform citizens of the potential project and get feedback from the residents. This happened during the original grant proposal. A total of 100% of the CGBI funding will be used to benefit low to moderate income people. The project area in the county that has been determined to have based on an income survey, have 70% of low to moderate income people that will be impacted. The project area is Blue Ridge School. It's located at 95 Bobcat Drive in Cashiers, North Carolina. The range of activities covered by the CDBGI funds in general for the Blue Ridge Water and Wastewater project includes construction, engineering design, construction administration and observation, legal activities, and the surveying. If the county is awarded the CDBGI grant, the county is required to adhere to federal procurement requirements and other federal regulations, which include the Americans with Disabilities Act, Section 504 survey, Davis-Bacon and related labor acts, adoption and submittal of a citizens participation plan, the adoption and submittal of an equal opportunity plan, the adoption and submittal of a fair housing plan, adoption and submittal of the language access plan, the adoption and submittal of a relocation assistance plan, and the adoption and submittal of a Section 3 plan and an excessive force provision. We have already done that with the original grant. We will resubmit those with the two new grants. So all those have been done. The state of North Carolina requires that if the county receives CDBG grant funding, that the county will certify that they will comply with the requirements of the general displacement and relocation policy for CDBG grant funding. This policy assists low to moderate income people with costs associated with relocation or displacement, so should such relocation become necessary due to the project activities. CDBG funds can be used for those costs if necessary. If no displacement and relocation occur as a result of the proposed CDBG grant activity, then the county confirms that during this public hearing, which I can confirm there will be no displacements caused by this project. In the past, the county has applied and received for the following completed CDBG projects: CDBG 10C2232, which was Reach Village, a 10-unit rental project acquisition; CDBG 10C2144, home rehabilitation for 8 units. That amount was $500,000. The previous one was $600,000. CDBG 11C2267 was an NC Tomorrow preparation grant of a 5-year regional economic development plan for $50,000, and CDBG 12C2421, a scouter site housing rehabilitation, which included 6 units at a cost of $225,000. The county will submit its CDBG application for the Blue Ridge Water and Wastewater Project by January 31st of 2021. The CDBGI application will be available for review during normal business hours at 401 Grindstaff Cove Road here in Silva. Additional information is available from the Jackson County Manager's Office located at 401 Grindstaff Cove Road, Suite A207 here in Silva. Should you have any complaints or grievances regarding the subject public hearing, they should be addressed to the addressee mentioned above within 10 business days or by January 15th, 2021. And a written response to the written complaints and or grievances will be sent by the county within 10 business days where practical. Mr. Chairman, if I would request that you would open the floor for comments and questions about the program if there are any.
Okay. Are there any questions or comments from the board members?
On the top of page 4, it says if the county is awarded the CDBG grant, the town is required to adhere.
Yeah,
Is that a typo?
it's a typo. Yeah, they give you a
I
slash,
figured.
so it probably just be picked up, but it'll be corrected. Yes, ma'am.
For the record, you said county.
I did say county.
He did say
I
county,
saw
and
it
then I
and switched in my
thought that
head.
I heard that. I was paying attention.
Any other comments or questions from the board members? Okay, hearing none, is there anyone, I'm assuming the one participant that we have for public comment is not about this, but
I believe that's correct.
yeah, so there's no one else in the room that. So with that being said, do I hear a motion that we adjourn this public hearing?
So much.
Is there a second?
Second?
All right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Okay, now I'll go ahead and call to order our first business meeting of the 2021 year. First item of business is the approval of the agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
I move that we approve the agenda as presented.
Okay,
Second.
and there's a second. Any question or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. You should have a copy of the minutes from our work session on December the 10th, and then the regular meeting minutes from December the 15th. After having had a chance to review those as distributed by the clerk, what's the pleasure of the board?
I move that we accept the minutes as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any question or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Administrative reports, about 3 things I want to mention. First, I've had a significant amount of feedback from not only county staff, but from staff at the school system concerning the COVID bonuses that we were able to present in December. I had a conversation the other day with the chair of the school board, Allie Large, and Allie talked about how appreciative it was for the school system, and just wanted to convey that to all the commissioners. And I know many of you I've talked to as well have had lots of phone calls and conversations with various employees and administrators, and I'm glad we've been able to do that. Also, just report that Commissioner Striblin and myself were in attendance for the swearing in of Representative Mike Clampett. It was a little bit different this time. A lot of times they're sworn in Raleigh, and he took the oath of office here in Silva at the old Jackson County Courthouse complex. And it was a beautiful day on Saturday. It's a great opportunity weather-wise to be outside. So he took the oath of office and now has started his term in the General Assembly. And wished him well in his ventures and look forward to working with him. Also present that day was Senator Kevin Corbin, who had taken the oath earlier that day. Had an opportunity to speak with Senator Corbin and tell him likewise that we look forward to working with him on various ventures to benefit all the citizens of Jackson County and this whole region or district. And then finally, I would just say that I want to publicly, as a elected official, offer my condolences to both the Woodard family and to the Savannah Fire Department with the passing of Fire Chief Darrell Woodard. He contracted COVID and then subsequently died the end of December. And they had his funeral service this weekend on Sunday. And there was a great outpouring of appreciation and support for him and for his family as they mourned the loss. And so I just want to say that to his family and to Savannah Fire Department. He'd been fire chief since 1984, the longest serving fire chief in our county. A tremendous loss to that department and to that community. And I went by and spoke with those men and women at Savannah the other day. And so they're going to very much miss Chief Woodard, who's a great leader, as a county employee. He served as the fire district coordinator for that district as a county employee. And so I just wanted to mention that also. Commissioner Jones, I'll start with you on commissioner reports.
Just when we have a chance, if we can get an update on the CLASA and what's going on. I know we mentioned that at that last meeting, and also it'd be nice to have the health department come back and talk to us about COVID
Okay.
after the holidays.
Mr. Adams, if you'll make a note of that.
That's all I have,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Strickland?
You know what, I don't have anything.
Okay. No report today. Commissioner Woody?
No, no report.
Okay. Commissioner Deeds?
No, sir.
Okay. We'll move on to the county manager's report. Mr. Adams?
Yes, sir. I'll just stay here.
Okay, that's fine.
I don't have a formal report today. I just want to give a couple updates to the board. The health department has began its move this week. So they started yesterday and they're transitioning over today and the rest of this week. We did have some disruptions in the phones. I think it was to be expected. The idea being they would have all their phones up and operational tomorrow. Commissioner Woody and I was having this conversation today, and in the morning, I believe the lines were down, and by the afternoon, they've got several of the lines open now. So if somebody does need to communicate with the health department, I just suggested they go to the website. And when you go to the website, a pop-up will appear, and it'll identify multiple phone numbers that you can call and contact the health department. And right now, I've walked through there, everybody's excited. Transition is happening pretty good. I do believe they'll also have all phones and internet up by tomorrow. And again, they will just continue the transitioning the rest of this week. They are continuing with, currently right now, they are continuing with vaccinations. They are doing vaccinations at the old health department facility. They are going in accordance with, they did give a press release that gives the priority list of who gets vaccinations first. They will transfer the vaccinations over to the new facility next week.
Okay.
And then ultimately, they will be able to start expanding services. Don't have all the details right. I was hoping to have some of them ready for the board tonight, but it's just not ready, and I don't want to prematurely provide information until we get it concrete. But right now, they are working on plans for mass vaccinations. That would include areas such as first responders and also areas of teachers and things of that nature. They are working on those plans that will happen in the next upcoming weeks. And so I just think they're doing a great job, and they should be finished moving by hopefully this week. The other thing too, I just want to update the board on county operations as a whole. I had shared this information with the board via email around December 17th, but just a reminder to the board and also to the public, in anticipation of COVID cases increasing, I basically made the decision to offer up some more tools for our departments and operations to utilize to protect not only their employees amongst each other, but also to protect employees and citizens during the next month or so. So just a reminder to the board, when this became an issue back in March and April, several things were put into place. The county went into telework mode. We actually shut down temporarily, and and actually teleworked all the way through the month of May. And for the most part, county operations came back full by the beginning of June and really opened up for operations. What I've decided to do, and this is something at the time when the board allowed this to happen, they empowered the county manager to make decisions. And of course, the county manager doesn't make these decisions unless you talk to the health department and get advice from department heads and so forth. Well, in December, I started getting phone calls from departments that were concerned about a couple things, especially like larger departments, that after the holidays, let's say social services, we were going to have practically 80 people coming back into the same facility, and ultimately they were trying to get empowered so that they could protect themselves amongst themselves and also with the public. So that, along with having discussions with the health department, decided to open up telework options back to the departments. And so we also added another thing, is to allow for departments that have a lot of foot traffic to switch to by appointment only versus just traffic coming in. And between those couple options, third option that we made available was for modified work hours. So that if maintenance decided they needed to modify their work hours a little bit just to make sure they can protect themselves and maybe separate themselves, we needed to empower departments to modify their work hours so that they can protect themselves. So these are all items that have been put in place. They're effective through January 31st. I left it up to the departments to make the decisions on what's best for them. So for example, right now, the administration department, we don't have a lot of walk-in traffic. Most of our meetings are by appointment only. And right now, staff is comfortable with us just operating normal. But I do reserve the ability to shut us down by appointment only if we feel it necessary. The larger departments, again, for example, social services, they've separated their staff. They have some teleworking, some that are in the facility now. They're going to switch it out about mid-month, and this ensures that they don't get in one facility and just have a massive outbreak. They're also doing things like by appointment only and things of that nature. And things like code enforcement, health department, obviously as they're moving, they've also set themselves up by appointment only. And hopefully this will just empower departments and empower our operations to protect themselves and protect its citizens during this outbreak. And hopefully, right now, I've issued this through January 31st. I'll reevaluate it probably the last week of January. And there's a potential that this may be driven into February also, just depending on where we're at on the numbers. Mr. Chairman, that's my report.
Any questions for the manager?
And I do want to say, you heard Mr. Poston stand up here. I want to give thanks to our planning department, to our engineer, Victor Lofquist, and also to Stillwell. We needed to move forward with this project. This is the CDBG projects in order to meet the timelines, but there was a lot of work put in from the engineer and the contractor in order for us to start this project. We're technically spending the first $1 million, and if you really look at a lot of these numbers, these two new grants are going to be spent towards the end of the project. And there's a lot of work put in with the contractor and the engineer to get this set up and meet these grant deadlines so that we can get reimbursed. And then obviously you can see the planning staff had to put a lot of time and effort in to come in and get this ready for the board. So I just want to say I appreciate all of it. And they were doing all of this in the month of December, the holidays.
That's good.
That's all I have.
A couple of questions I do have. One, talking about COVID, I'll take it first. I have had several people reach out to me to ask about mask mandates. Can staff sort of give us an idea of, I know the governor has certain executive orders in place. Are masks mandated under the governor's orders? And is there a need for county mask mandates? What's the thoughts from a staff perspective?
So, I'll ask Heather, county attorney, to just go over the governor's orders, and then we can go to that second part of your question about, is there anything the county can do?
Okay.
Well, and I'll answer specific questions, but the most recent governor's orders do require masks everywhere except in your home. If you are outside of your home and you are indoors with people not in your home, you are required to have masks. Outside as well, if you can't be well spaced apart and practice the other, that does include outside. Originally, there was just some enforcement for businesses and now has some enforcement for individuals as well. So you strengthen the mask requirements. There are still the same exemptions that were in the original earlier orders, which doesn't include government operations to an extent, although it's really recommended that everybody follow the governor's orders. But I can answer more specifically beyond. Of course, there was the update with regard to restaurants as well that became more strict with wearing a mask while you're in a restaurant when you're not in the act of eating, which is, we talked about that. That's a difficult thing to define, but find out as best as you can.
Okay.
If there are specific questions about that, I can answer.
Well, I just wanted to make sure that I was understanding the governor's orders, because like I said, I have had several people reach out to me, and I've tried to explain that we do have a mask order in place from the governor, statewide, and that really there is not a need to issue a local directive because the governor's order should cover it.
It does, and in addition to that, under our local declaration of emergency, we covered that in county buildings as well.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that was the case and I wasn't misleading people in my comments. And then the second question goes back to the move. I know you're talking about the health department relocating this week. What about code enforcement and planning and the others that will be there? Are they also relocating this week, or will that come subsequent?
So code enforcement is planning for next week. And so code enforcement is planning for next week, and then planning is planning for next week. But having said that, they have been moving things over a little at a time so that they're not waiting till next week. But right now, we're concentrating everything on the health department operations, and then after this first week, code enforcement and also planning will move next week.
Okay. Very good. Any other questions? Commissioner Strickland.
The health department building, what are they gonna do with that? Is another department gonna move in there, or is that just gonna
The
be
current
left?
location?
Yes, sir.
Okay, the current location is owned by a nonprofit organization called Evergreen
Oh, so
Foundation.
the county doesn't own
We
it.
don't own
I
it.
got
And
you.
so
Okay.
what we'll do is we're on a month-to-month lease with them, and we'll eventually evolve out of that lease.
I see.
Other questions? Okay. Next is our informal comments from the public, and we do have one person that has signed up, and we'll let staff get Leanna Costantino unmuted and give her a chance to unmute, and then I'll recognize her for opportunity to speak up to 3 minutes. Just let me know when you get unmuted.
I am unmuted.
Okay, very good. Well, the floor is yours.
All right. Well, hello, everyone. I'm Liana Costantino. You've heard from me before. I'm a citizen of the Cherokee Nation, but I've been living here for 20 years now. And my ancestors have lived and been buried here for thousands of years before that. So I do feel having a stake here. I support the EBCI resolution to rededicate the namesake for Jackson County in the name of former Cherokee Principal Chief Walter Bull Jackson. People like the county's current namesake are well enough documented in history, I think, and are unworthy, in my opinion, of continuing to be honored in this way, in the homeland of the people he betrayed so grievously and where he never even lived. So in my opinion, this isn't anything to do with rewriting history. It's correcting an insult to the Cherokee people, plain and simple. So this is a day late and a dollar short, but I think it's a lovely idea, a brilliant idea, really. And as we continue to do the hard work of decolonization and dismantling the racism, which obviously still exists, and building a more equitable society together, I think this is a really easy thing to do. It hurts nobody and would be a very thoughtful gesture and a step in the right direction. So, of course, as with all thoughtful gestures, I hope it'll also be followed by action and continued positive change that reflects our ability to evolve in a good way as human beings. But I just think this is a lovely idea and I hope it goes forward. Thank you so much and Happy New Year to everybody.
Okay, thank you, ma'am, and Happy New Year. Okay, that's the only public comment that we had for today. Let's look at our new business, and the first item today is a budget ordinance amendment. I'll recognize Ms. Fox, who will highlight that request.
Good afternoon. Got one budget amendment. It's from the Department of Health and Human Services. It's low-income energy assistance for the pandemic. And the amount of it's $93,600.77. And it'll be Department of Social Services.
All right, you've heard the request for this budget ordinance amendment. Is there a motion to approve the amendment?
So moved, we do so.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Any questions or discussion about the amendment? All right, Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
I think he had.
Oh, you have a question? Sorry about that.
That's right.
Yes, sir.
Where is this funds coming from?
The state.
From the state, okay.
Is it money that they got from the federal government? Do you
It
know?
is, it's flowed through from Fed.
Part of that, yeah,
Yes.
part of the code. Okay, thank you.
So these are the funds that they help with fuel bills for people, and for, give some examples of what these funds are used for.
It's mainly used for fuel,
So fuel oil, things of that nature, for heating assistance and everything.
electricity.
Any other questions, Commissioner Strickland?
No, sir.
Okay, all right. All right, then, Madam Clerk, if you would call the roll.
Commissioner Deeds?
Yes.
Commissioner Woody?
Yes.
Commissioner Strickland?
Yes.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Chairman Magnet?
Yes, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next is item 2, which is the CDBG fiscal year 11 funding cycle application. And then right following it will be the fiscal year 13 funding cycle application. Mr. Poston, I'll recognize you to make comments concerning these two, and then we'll vote on them separately.
And I think, just very briefly, as I think went thoroughly through what we're going to be doing, really what we're asking the commissioners today is to give staff the ability and power to submit those 2 additional applications for FY 11, FY 13, and a modified scope for the existing grant, which is grant number, the grant number being 09D2945. And we'll certainly answer any additional questions the commissioners may have, but we'd ask them to consider granting that authority to staff.
That money's supplementing what we've already got.
Correct, and it's going,
And
and
they're already working up there, doing a lot of stuff.
they have already been tasked with the water system, and the additional funding will allow us to also replace the wastewater system. So we'll replace both the water and wastewater system as opposed to just the water system. So we'll be able to expand that project significantly and prepare that school to be functional for hopefully the next 40 years.
All right, is there a motion to approve item 2, which is the 11 funding cycle application?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions or further discussion about this one? Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Strickland?
Yes.
Commissioner Woody?
Yes.
Commissioner Deeds?
Yes.
Chairman Magnet?
Yes, motion carries. Next, item 3, which is the fiscal year 13 funding cycle application. Likewise, is there a motion to approve this?
I move that we approve this application.
Okay. And a motion and a second has been offered. Is there any questions or other discussion? Madam Clerk, if you call the roll, please.
Commissioner Deeds?
Yes.
Commissioner Woody?
Yes.
Commissioner Strickland?
Yes.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Chairman Magnet?
Yes, motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Pope.
They need to they need to vote to modify the existing, like you said at the end. If we want to do that, just.
Yeah, let's just go ahead and do that. I don't know that they'll require it, but yeah.
So the original $1 million grant, we'll have to modify. So
Yeah.
the requested motion would be to modify the original $1 million grant number 09D-2945 in accordance to what was presented at the public.
Would someone like to make that motion as the manager has stated?
So moved.
All right. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, any other question or discussion about what we're voting on? This is a modification of the project currently. If not, then Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Strickland?
Yes.
Commissioner Woody?
Yes.
Commissioner Dees?
Yes.
Chairman Knight?
Yes, motion carries.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Next is item 4, the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners Legislative Goals Conference, voting delegate, Mr. Adams.
Yes, sir. The North Carolina Association of County Commissioners will be holding their Legislative Goals Conference virtually January 14th through January 15th. And each year, prior to having that conference, counties have to designate a voting delegate to the goal conference itself. And just a reminder to the board, we did submit one goal to the conference that to be submitted to their conference for consideration. And just to catch up on that, Commissioner Strickland, the goal basically really refers back to the Millennial Campus and the construction and the erosion issues that were occurring there. And the goal to the Association of County Commissioners is to support legislation that allows for the state to basically appoint counties to provide oversight on certain construction projects. Currently, Jackson County is a designated site or designated entity that we provide erosion control oversight on all projects except for state projects, and we're not allowed to provide oversight over our own projects. And so we're designated, we have a memorandum of understanding with the state at this point. But right now, state law does not allow DENR to designate us to provide oversight on state projects. So the goal was to basically try to add that in there. And so that if and when DENR ever needs help with state projects, or if they're willing to designate us to provide that oversight, then Jackson County can provide direct oversight for projects.
I served on, I'm serving on the environmental committee for the legislative update, goals. And our submission was very well received. And we had some good conversation around that. And basically what it boils down to is local control, which that is one of the hallmarks of the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners, is that we let local governments deal with local issues. So it kind of was it was very well received. And then we also supported the broadband one as well. So we had 2.
Okay. Well, I would like to make a motion to appoint Commissioner Woody as Jackson County's representative, as she is very much involved with the state association and serves as a district representative and is as familiar with as anybody about what's going on and the process. And I would put that in form of a motion to appoint her to represent us. Is there a second?
Second. Again?
Boss, do you want to take time out 2 days to do this?
Oh, I'm over it.
Well, just to let you know, Commissioner Sterling, Chairman McMahon nominated me before, and I had no idea what I was getting into. But I want to say that, yeah, I have thoroughly enjoyed it and have met some wonderful people. And like he said, I have been very involved in this and appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
And thank you.
Well, thank you
It's
for
very time consuming.
letting me do it. I
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to appoint Commissioner Woody as our representative, our voting delegate. Any other question or discussion? And anybody can join in. Anybody can
Yes.
participate and
Yes.
log in and be a part of the conference. But when it comes to the actual vote part,
Yes.
she would be the one to cast the vote. Madam Clerk, if you'd call the roll, please.
Commissioner Dees?
Yes.
Commissioner Woody?
Yes.
Commissioner Strickland?
Yes.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Chairman Knight?
Yes, motion carries. Next is our appointment section. First is item 5, Agricultural Advisory Board. Commissioner Strickland, have you had a chance to take a look at this one yet?
I did.
Okay,
I have not contacted Mr. Stillwell yet, though.
okay.
Was I supposed to contact him already, or?
He is one that cannot be appointed. He served his 3 years, so it needs to be somebody new in that position.
Okay.
Yeah, so you just need to try to come up with a new individual, someone else to serve in that vacancy.
Okay.
Commissioner Jones, have you been able to acquire someone?
No, sir, and Mr. Fowler's in the same situation.
Okay, we'll carry this one over and give you gentlemen a chance to continue searching.
Okay.
For item 6, which is the Business and Industry Advisory Committee, it's 2 appointments. And these are available, I believe, for reappointment if we choose to do so, but it is at the pleasure of the board members. And likewise, it's Commissioner Strickland and Commissioner Jones's appointments, if they would like to reappoint or provide another name. Any action tonight for this one?
Not for tonight.
Okay, we'll carry this one over as well. Item 7 is the Cullowhee Planning Council. There's 1 vacancy, and that would be for my appointment. I have been able to secure a name, and that person is going through the background checks right now. So we'll hopefully have that back by our next meeting so we can make that appointment. Item 8 is the Historic Preservation. There's 2 vacancies. Are either one of these term limited or are these open?
These are not term limited. I don't believe there's any, they just are, I think, 3-year terms.
Okay.
Andy, is that correct?
I did the research on this for the last meeting, and it's sitting on my desk, but the only one that I remember, that had was the first, was the agriculture.
Okay, I didn't think there
I don't
was.
think there's any limit on how many times they can serve.
Okay, and this one would be Commissioner Strickland appointment and myself, and I have not had a chance to work on this one. Okay, we'll carry this one over as well.
Do you know, Mr. Strickland? Mr. Strickland,
Yes, sir.
do you know Mr. Crawford?
No, sir, I don't.
I guess it's fine, but I don't know anyone in this whole county we could put in there, replace him,
Oh, my,
do what he does.
He knows more about the history and
He's,
people of Jackson County than anybody, I guess.
He loves that job, and he's a history book of this county.
A walking history book.
He's awesome.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you may want to call him. I would encourage you to
Yeah,
call him and
call
talk with
him
him.
and,
Okay,
And it'd be a great opportunity for you to meet him
okay.
and
He's a
speak with
wonderful
him.
person.
How do I get his cell phone number?
The staff can get you his number.
Okay.
He is a great individual.
So I'm gonna ask him if he wants to
Yeah,
stay.
absolutely. I think
Okay.
that'd be a great thing.
Yeah.
Okay,
Please.
okay.
And then item 10, let's see if I missed one. No, 9, excuse me. Number 9 is the Planning Board. Commissioner Dietz, this one would be your appointment. Have you been able to find a name?
No, if you, not hit me with it.
Yeah, we'll work to help you out on that one. Carry that one over as well. And then that brings us down to item 10, which is the Transit Advisory Board. We have 2 vacancies there, and I believe Commissioner Dietz, you had mentioned that at the last meeting, y'all were going to have a transit meeting sometime after that.
Yes, we were, and we could not get a quorum, and she called it off. I don't know when we'll be.
Okay.
But quick as we do, I will bring all this
All
up.
right, so we'll carry that one over as
Yeah.
well.
And I would like to make one comment about that. I had a conversation with Darlene Fox, who contacted our Director of Transit. And she felt that in the past, there has been someone from the Koala Boundary who lives in Jackson County on this board, and that would be really helpful to have such an individual again. So I've reached out to Chief Sneed's office and see if they can recommend someone that lives in Jackson County to help
Okay.
serve on that, so. And they would have to go through the process as well, but.
Very true. Okay, that brings us down to the press conference portion of our agenda. If they'll go back to the other screen to see who's hung on to it with us to the bitter end. Looks like Lily Knapp. Lily, I'll give you an opportunity to go first. Do you have any additional questions?
I don't. Don't hear me? No, thank
We
you.
weren't able to hear you.
Thank you. I don't have any questions right now.
Okay, I hear you. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
And then next would be Beth Lawrence with the Silver Herald. Beth, do you have any follow-up questions?
I do not.
Okay, no questions from Beth Lawrence. With that being said, I believe that brings us down to the end. Is there any need for closed session this evening? Did you have additional?
Actually, when we were at the swearing in the other day,
Yes.
I had a couple people come to me. One lady asked about at Mark Watson Park, there somewhere, there's a electrical outlet that is falling apart and she wants to use it, she can't.
Okay.
So is that the right time for me to bring this up? Being I'm new to this.
Yeah, anytime like that, you can call the manager.
Okay, so I call and talk to Don
Just
about it.
call Don and let him know what all,
Okay.
things like that that you made aware of.
See, and then
he'll
another
follow up.
man came to me and said, he goes, have you seen the rock wall coming up to the courthouse here? He goes, that thing hasn't been pressure cleaned in God knows how long.
All right, wait a minute.
No.
We can tell you who that is.
I'll tell you what, the man cornered me and I was like, wow.
It ruins the
But now,
water.
is that part of Silva to take care of that, or is that the county?
It's the county's land.
And
but
he asked me that,
we
and
don't want it-
actually, as a
we don't-
commissioner, I didn't know, I kind of,
It ruins the mortar, you know.
that's what I told
no.
him. I said, it's such an old wall, you don't want to pressure
No.
clean it. He goes, I was in the pressure cleaning business for years, it's not gonna hurt that.
So, Commissioner Shirley, anytime there's like maintenance, if you see anything going on with it, looks like or somebody needs repair or something like that, feel free to call my office and I'll have maintenance go out.
Okay, okay. Sorry about that.
That's fine.
Please come before.
This is all new to me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
that's great, that's good.
Oh.
Any other comments or questions? And I would just end with saying, I would encourage everybody to continue being vigilant, wearing your mask.
Yes.
Social
Yes.
distance. I know today,
Yes.
it seemed like just listening to the fire radio, I forget how many ambulance calls, there seemed like quite a few that went out, COVID patients, and we're going to see quite a few spikes with the recent holiday gatherings, and just encourage everybody to maintain 6 foot, use their hand washing procedures and wear their mask and do everything we can, and encourage them to get the vaccination if possible as soon as it's available. So, with that being
Well, I
said,
mentioned that
go ahead,
before.
sir.
Anything we can do as a county to help the health department about
Yes.
these vaccinations. I hope we continue to tell her that, look into that.
Yes.
And as you read and watch the news about across the country, we give what? So many million vaccines, and we're behind by millions from what we thought was gonna give. And if you give 50 million, you've not really hit anything hardly about population of this country. And I hope we use every means we have to help the health department. I was talking to her and she's talking about some of the difficulties they have. You've got to have to take all this information down when somebody comes in to take care. You've got to watch them for so many 20 minutes or something, this and that.
15.
And my wife we were talking about that day, and she said, you know, she worked in the hospital for 3 years. She wasn't a nurse, but she said, well, it took me that to go out there and sit and take information so the people that give shots don't have to do that. I hope that we're prepared to do this when we do get the product itself. And we're not sitting there saying, well, we just don't have enough people to take this, take that, and do this.
Well, let me just
We
jump
could
ahead.
we could get ahead of the
Yeah.
damn thing instead of,
I know the county manager's been talking with the health department, and I know emergency management is working with them. I was on the phone with Todd Dillard today. You know, and when Mr. Adams alluded to like fire department, first responders, law enforcement being vaccinated, they already have that date set. It's next Friday, the 15th. It's going to be at the Cullowhee Rec Center. The EMS paramedics are helping administer the doses. They got people lined up to do the note taking and fill out the forms so, I mean, there is a big plan in place, and Mr. Adams can add to it, but I know
We
they're,
got covered, we don't need any help.
well, I know they're working on
What
it.
you saying?
We're not saying we don't, Jackson County is, the entities in Jackson County are coming together to help each other, is what's happening. And a big help, it's just really recently, and within the last couple of weeks, that it's opened up that our paramedics for Harris and also for Glenville Cashers are now being authorized to assist in the vaccination process. And so we've had both of those entities graciously offer their assistance to the health department and to this whole planning process so that we can start developing plans for these mass vaccinations as we're describing. So with having the personnel, EMS personnel, paramedic personnel available from these areas, from these entities, it's going to allow the health department to really, you know, you always want more help. I don't ever want to say you always have enough help. I don't want to leave that impression, but that's becoming a great assistance, and that's going to help us in the next month or so to really get a lot of the shots out. And that really, just so you know, this is an ongoing process. There's not the plan is being developed as you speak. We literally were having these conversations Monday when EMS was informing us that they have been authorized. And by the end of the day, Monday, we had already developed a process and a plan in regards to first responders and how we're going to try to do mass vaccinations for them. So it is just an ongoing process.
Yeah, on Thursday, the 31st, the Department of Health and Human Services, Mandy Cohen, issued the timeline for when people are eligible for the vaccinations. And the first wave is underway already, which is hospital employees, people who work in nursing homes, assisted living facilities, and those high-risk people. That's happening right now. And then the next group, which is 1B, firefighters, law enforcement, teachers, there's a whole group of them, and that's what we got an email today saying that these.
I'm sorry, that would be right.
I'm just going to say that second group, 1B, they're in the planning phase today. That the emails came out to the agencies to say, hey, you need to sign up because, you know, it's critical. They only can give 10 shots per vial. And so it's only good for so many hours after they open it. And so they're trying to make sure they have everybody lined up to be there at certain times so that when they come through, they don't waste any of that vaccine that they're giving it in certain order. And then, like you said, you got to go sit 15 minutes and there's a whole detailed process.
So that will be the 15th, as you're saying, when you bring in the first responders. I did have a conversation with the health director an hour or so before we got for this meeting. Just a reminder, on that list, the next priority past health workers are people 75 years and older.
Yeah.
That's what they're going to be concentrating on next week when they're in their new facilities. They're concentrating on that. By the end of next week, what we're describing is when they'll start getting to that next phase when they're doing the first responders, and then by that next week, hopefully we'll be in the phase of going to the other individuals that you named. And then that's where we started mentioning and having discussions how we're going to deal with teachers and other places where we can do mass vaccinations. But I just want to let everybody know next week's priorities for them. They're developing the plan now is following that plan that came from the state, and it's going to be people 75 years and older.
Chairman, may I speak to Mr. Deeds?
Yes, go ahead, Sheriff.
Commissioner, just let you know there, I spoke to our county manager, our emergency manager, Later Monday. I have offered some of our staff, the sheriff's office, and our secretarial staff, to temporarily relocate to assist the health department.
That's good.
Filing the paperwork.
That's good.
Also, our contract medical service providers we usually bill for inlet population. We've talked to the regional directors and our contractors, and they have agreed to do all the law, administering shots to all the law enforcement officers.
That's good.
Community to contact them after they.
We were without a secretary in here for a few weeks.
Yeah.
If we have to take her and put her somewhere else to do some of that work, that's the type of stuff I hope
I
we're
can
doing.
assure you, there's a good plan in place, it's moving forward.
And I know like, there's a requirement, you gotta have an email address to sign up. And, I know that even today they were talking about the fire district coordinators, volunteering them to help, to put people's email stuff in to help, because we had a whole bunch of people that didn't have emails. And they were generating emails for them to help them get signed up for shots.
Yeah, listen, this fellow's a general that was, you remember they put this fellow over the thing in, when we had Katrina? It was a disaster. And they put him over that, and I mean, they said when he hit the ground, he was a curse when the helicopter landed. And he got stuff going in every direction from everywhere, you know? And they was talking to him, and he was talking about how this thing's, so in a lot of places where it's kind of slack right now. And he said, we can't look at this thing like we do. We can't be giving these shots from 8 in the morning to 4 in the evening and then close and go home. It's got to be a 24-hour day thing, 7 days a week. That's the type of, it's gonna take to get this done, really, so. They better be some planning, because it's gonna take a lot of it to do it properly.
Is there a contact number or a department where a volunteer out there, retired nurse, could offer her help? Or is it too premature for that?
I'd have to follow up with the answer to that. My initial thoughts is gonna be two places. It's either gonna be the health department and or emergency management who's helping coordinate the larger vaccination process. So it's gonna be between those two. And what I can do is ask Shelley and ask Todd who that referral needs to be made to.
Anything else?
That's it.
All right, if nothing else, then do I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
For a second?
Second,
All in favor, say aye.
aye.